Scorpio, something extraordinary is happening. You've done the work, you've endured the silence, and now the universe is preparing to pay you back with a shocking amount of money, divine restitution, and long overdue spiritual justice. This message is not about luck. It's not about chance. It's about divine timing. If you found this video, it means you are aligned with a cosmic judgment that has already been made in your favor. Every moment you endured in stillness, every heartbreak you silently carried, and every sacrifice you made without recognition has been recorded in the unseen. And now, Scorpio, your time has come. You're not just about to receive money. You're about to receive back pay for every spiritual debt owed to you. This is the payout for the energy that was taken, the ideas that were stolen, the peace that was disrupted. You've been the silent warrior in a courtroom of souls, and now the verdict has been read. You are the rightful heir to a fortune that is both spiritual and material. And no one can take it from you. The energy of justice surrounds you. Not just the tarot archetype, but real, cosmic justice. This is not symbolic. This is energetic accounting. The divine has been keeping records. The universe is not blind, Scorpio, it's exact. And it remembers every detail. You are here right now because you're stepping into a divine transaction that can no longer be delayed. There's a reason you've been feeling that strange stillness lately, that quiet sense of something shifting. The silence wasn't abandonment, it was activation. The vault is open. The gates are moving. The wealth isn't coming from the world, it's coming from source. And your name is written on the release order. Scorpio, if you felt this message stir something in your chest, if your intuition is tingling right now, then don't let it pass you by. Take a moment and confirm this transmission by commenting 777 below. This isn't superstition, it's an energetic agreement. It tells the universe, I'm ready to receive. I recognize this moment. Every view, every like, every comment you leave anchors this frequency deeper into your personal timeline. And it brings you into deeper alignment with the spiritual family we are building here. Miracle of the sign. Now, before we dive into what's unfolding for you in detail, allow me to take a moment to thank you. Truly. Your presence here means more than you realize. Every kind word, every thoughtful share, every time you hit subscribe or return to watch another message, it strengthens this collective. It makes these transmissions possible. And it tells me that the work we are doing here is finding its way to those it's meant for. But Scorpio, I must tell you, today's message isn't like the others. What the universe is revealing now is monumental. The scale of it may shock you, because it doesn't just change your finance, it changes your self-perception. It rewrites the story you've been told about struggle, suffering, and scarcity. You are not who they said you were. You are not cursed, unlucky, or forgotten. You are chosen. And now, chosen one, it's time to receive what was always yours. Stay with me, because what's coming next will open your eyes to just how precise the universe has been all along. Let's begin. Scorpio, if you've made it here, I want you to know that you are stepping into a moment that has been divinely orchestrated, not just by chance, but by a spiritual equation that's finally coming into balance. Everything you've felt until now, the heaviness, the invisible pressure, the emotional trials that seemed to make no sense, was not random. You were being observed, yes, but not by the eyes of judgment. You were being witnessed by something greater, the laws of cause and effect that govern not just the stars, but the invisible contracts of the soul. Imagine this: for years, you were placed in what I would call a courtroom of energy. Not one built of walls and gavel strikes, but one woven from moments you thought no one saw, moments where you chose grace over retaliation, silence over slander, surrender over control. And in that courtroom, you were not on trial for failure. You were testifying through your life. Every heartbreak you endured with dignity. Every betrayal you forgave when no one was watching. Every time you showed up for life even when it felt like life had abandoned you. These were your statements under oath. And though it may have felt like no one heard them, they were recorded energetically, astrologically, spiritually. In tarot, the Justice card isn't just about retribution. It's about alignment. It's about truth rising to the surface, not as vengeance, but as order. When justice shows up for you, Scorpio, it means the universe is no longer tolerating imbalance. And you, the sign of depth, of shadow, of emotional X-ray vision, were never meant to be punished for feeling deeply. You were meant to be refined through it. Saturn, the planet of karma and discipline, has been journeying through your energetic sphere, pressing on your most vulnerable points. But now, it moves away. It's exiting the courtroom. The final document has been signed. The evidence has been reviewed. And the verdict is not guilty. The verdict is worthy. There's a reason you may have felt, especially recently, like you were carrying more than your fair share. That you were constantly being misunderstood. That the world was taking from you, using your energy as a silent fuel source while giving little in return. But this is where the cosmic shift begins. And Scorpio, you are not just the survivor of the trial, you are the one the entire trial was centered around. You are the soul for whom balance is finally being restored. When Saturn leaves a sign, it doesn't exit quietly. It leaves a lesson sealed into the soul. And for you, that lesson is this: your pain was not a penalty, it was preparation. Your delays were not denials, they were design. You were being shaped into someone who could hold power not with ego, but with integrity. And now, as that planetary burden lifts, it's like being released from an energetic cross-examination that you never agreed to but passed with unshakable grace. This is why I encourage you, Scorpio, to reflect. Have you ever felt judged for simply being who you are? For caring too much? For knowing things before others do? For speaking truth that others weren't ready to hear? These aren't weaknesses, they're spiritual credentials. And if you feel called to, take a moment and write in the comments what you've overcome. Let the universe see that your story is not hidden. Let it be known, not for sympathy, but as a marker of triumph. Your pain was not the end, it was evidence. You see, justice doesn't always come with noise. Sometimes, it arrives in quiet revelation, in the sense that something unseen has just clicked into place. That peace you feel right now? That is justice. That inner stillness, like a breath finally released? That is the court being adjourned. You are free now, not because someone told you so, but because the season of proving yourself is over. You've done enough. And now, everything you thought you lost is circling back to you, not as repayment, but as restoration. What you gave with purity is returning with power. What you endured in silence is now echoing in the chambers of the universe. And it is responding with the only words that matter now: paid in full. Scorpio, when we speak of transformation, we often imagine a grand thunderous shift, a breakthrough we can see and touch. But your true transformation has been silent, invisible to the world, yet profoundly documented in the energetic fabric of your life. What you've been through wasn't just suffering, it was sacred investment. Every heartbreak you survived, every time you chose love over revenge, and every silent tear you released into the dark was recorded, not in ink, but in vibration. And that vibration, Scorpio, is currency, spiritual currency. Think of it this way. While others were collecting accolades, approval, and surface-level success, you were building something far more lasting, spiritual equity. The kind that can't be taken, imitated, or undone. In the unseen realms, there is a kind of divine ledger, a place where energy is neither lost nor forgotten, simply stored. And you, often misunderstood for your depth, were depositing into this sacred vault every time you showed up for life despite the pain. You weren't just enduring, you were accumulating. You were transmuting despair into devotion, wounds into wisdom, and silence into strength. That kind of internal alchemy isn't visible to the naked eye, but it is deeply felt by the soul. Now, we reach a point where the energy you've deposited begins to yield its return. But this isn't just about money or success in the conventional sense. This is about recognition on a soul level. It's about being met by the universe with the kind of blessings that match the exact frequency of what you've lost. Because the law of attraction doesn't just respond to wishful thinking, it responds to energetic alignment. And you, Scorpio, have unknowingly become a match for abundance, not because you chased it, but because you endured what shaped you for it. The sapphire blue energy surrounding you now speaks to clarity, protection, and a powerful sense of inner sovereignty. In color therapy, sapphire resonates with higher truth, deep emotional healing, and divine communication. You are in a season where your truth can no longer be ignored. And that truth is this: your pain was never pointless. It was an offering. And that offering has returned multiplied, not just in wealth, but in peace, in purpose, in people who see you and meet you where you truly are. This is where mindset shifts from survival into stewardship. When you realize that what you've suffered wasn't in vain, you stop clinging to it and begin learning from it. You begin to look at your past not with bitterness, but with reverence. You see every closed door not as rejection, but redirection. Every betrayal not as punishment, but purification. Every lonely night not as evidence of being forgotten, but as proof that you were being set apart. And from that place, gratitude blooms, not the kind that denies your pain, but the kind that says, even in my breaking, I was becoming. There is a scripture that echoes this truth so clearly: those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. This is not just poetic comfort. It is energetic law. Your tears, Scorpio, were not wasted. They were seeds. And what blooms now may look like money, opportunity, or love, but underneath it all, it's your resilience finally materialized. So now, as you stand here, having weathered the inner storms that few will ever know about, allow yourself to receive. You don't need to justify it, explain it, or earn it again. The time for sowing is over. The time for reaping joyfully, abundantly, and without guilt has finally arrived. Let yourself gather what was always yours. The universe does not forget what was done in the dark. And now, the light is catching up. Scorpio, something within you has shifted quietly, steadily, and undeniably. If the previous season of your life felt like a constant uphill battle, this one feels different. It's not louder, not necessarily easier, but it carries a new rhythm. A softer kind of power. A recalibration. What you're feeling is real, even if you can't explain it yet. That stillness in your chest, that quiet resolve replacing panic, that sudden disinterest in drama or chaos, it's all part of your internal operating system being upgraded. Imagine that your soul, after years of enduring outdated programming like scarcity, fear, and self-doubt, is finally running on a new frequency. It's like the old files have been wiped and something more expansive, more aligned with who you were always meant to be, has taken root. This new energetic software is what I call your divine frequency. And when you start vibrating at this frequency, the world can't help but respond differently. Opportunities appear where you used to see walls. Relationships shift. Conversations evolve. And most importantly, your perception changes. You no longer chase things, you attract them. You no longer beg for love, peace, or wealth, they begin orbiting you, magnetized by your alignment. This is not fantasy. It's resonance. And it is governed by laws as precise as gravity. Astrologically, this makes perfect sense. Jupiter, the planet of expansion, wisdom, and divine provision, is entering a space that positively trines Scorpio energy. When this happens, there's often a quiet surge of abundance, a kind of cosmic green light. But this energy isn't given to everyone. It favors those who have prepared, not externally, but internally. You've done that work. Whether consciously or not, you've released layers of outdated thinking. You've emptied your cup, and now the universe is ready to pour into it. The number 7 has been showing up for many of you lately, and that is no coincidence. 7 is the number of spiritual completion, the number of sacred timing. It's the pause between sowing and reaping. It reminds us that cycles must end before new ones begin. Seeing this number repeatedly is a sign that your personal cycle of lack is closing. The old loop where you give more than you receive, where you shrink to keep the peace, where you delay joy until the struggle ends, is breaking. And in its place, a new pattern is forming. One rooted in balance, trust, and divine exchange. To support this new frequency, your daily habits matter more than ever. Not because you need to earn anything, but because your vessel needs to stay in tune with the signal you've been upgraded to receive. The food you eat now isn't just fuel, it's frequency. Choose living, vibrant foods, leafy greens, citrus water, seeds, fresh fruits. These aren't just for the body, they communicate with your aura. The shows you watch, the conversations you engage in, the accounts you follow, they either reinforce your new coding or interfere with it. You're sensitive now, Scorpio, in the best possible way. Use that discernment. And then, there's rest. Don't underestimate how vital it is to give your nervous system time to reset. Deep sleep, gentle movement, silence, these are sacred acts now. Try meditating before bed, even for 5 minutes. Breathe deeply and speak the affirmation, I am a channel for divine wealth. Let it soak into your subconscious. Let it take root. Because abundance is already around you. It's hovering. Waiting. Watching for your signal. You are no longer asking for permission. You are no longer hoping you're worthy. You are the match. You are the source. You are the one. So if you've noticed this energetic shift, if you've been feeling the pull, the peace, the alignment, I want to invite you to say it out loud in the comments. I am ready to receive the wealth frequency. Not for attention. Not for me. But for you. Let it be your declaration. Let it be your agreement with the new life rising quietly inside you. You are no longer a seeker. You are the embodiment. And your time is now. Money doesn't come when we chase it. It arrives when we've stopped controlling the outcome, when our internal landscape finally reflects the frequency of trust, not desperation. For Scorpio, this moment is not about manifesting random luck. It's not about the universe surprising you with generosity. It's about a precise energetic transaction that's been waiting for your readiness. Everything up until now has been part of a pattern, a build-up, a program of growth and release. Now, you're standing at what I call a divine disbursement point, a predetermined unlock that couldn't happen any earlier, no matter how hard you tried. And that's not because you weren't worthy, but because you weren't yet aligned. These moments of release often feel mundane at first. A forgotten crypto wallet suddenly accessed. A long-lost savings bond maturing. An item you picked up at a flea market turning out to be a rare collectible. These aren't coincidences. They're energetic nodes, destiny release points coded into your soul contract. They activate when your frequency reaches the level of surrender, not striving. They require stillness, not struggle. In my work with astrology and energy healing, I've seen this pattern emerge time and again, especially for signs like Scorpio who carry deep soul contracts involving power, sacrifice, and rebirth. The universe doesn't forget. It archives energy. Every giving gesture you offered in silence, every time you said yes to others when it cost you, every time you showed up in integrity when no one was watching, that data has been stored in the quantum field. And now that you are vibrating in truth, not trauma, the payout becomes accessible. Not as a reward for perfection, but as a result of energetic precision. In numerology, the number 8 plays a critical role in this moment. It's the number of infinity, of karmic return, of empowered materialization. It doesn't just represent money, it represents circulation. Giving and receiving. Ending and beginning. When 8 shows up repeatedly in your field, it signals that an energetic loop has closed. What was once leaking out your energy, your focus, your generosity now loops back to you with interest. It says, you are the center now. You are not on the outskirts of the blessing, you are the source of its arrival. That's why the color gold, metallic, luminous, royal is also present now. In color symbolism, gold represents crystallized light, divine material, worthiness actualized. It is what happens when spiritual power solidifies into form. Gold doesn't apologize for its shine, it radiates because that's its nature. And so do you. But here's the invitation: don't see this wealth as something to own. See it as something to steward. This payout isn't here to inflate your identity. It's here to liberate your soul. You're not here to grip it, store it, or fear its loss. You're here to let it flow through the places it's meant to bless, through your peace of mind, your body's well-being, your sacred work in the world. When money comes from alignment, it doesn't carry the tension that old patterns taught you. It comes without guilt. It comes without shame. It comes not to trap you in a new kind of golden prison, but to free you from the emotional chains of past scarcity. That's the true power of this wealth, not that it changes your life, but that it confirms your frequency has already changed. So as you stand here, feeling this energy take form around you, remind yourself, you didn't wish for this, you aligned with it. You didn't beg for it, you became the space that could hold it. That's why it's here now. Because you've become the answer to a prayer you once cried into the void. And now, the response is visible. Tangible. Liquid light, taking the form of resources, opportunities, and blessings too specific to be random. Let them come. And let them move. Not as trophies to keep, but as sacred currents to flow through. That's how wealth breathes. And now, Scorpio, so do you. Scorpio, by now you've begun to sense that what's arriving in your life isn't just abundance, it's assignment. The wealth you're stepping into is not a reward for enduring pain, nor is it a trophy to display. It's a sacred investment in your purpose. Everything you've walked through, every chapter of lack, confusion, betrayal, and rebuilding, has shaped you not just to receive but to lead. And not in the old paradigm of leadership defined by power or dominance, but in a way that is deeply spiritual, service-oriented, and profoundly transformative. This is what I call sacred stewardship. It means holding abundance with clear intention, integrity, and trust. It means allowing your blessings to become blueprints for others, not by telling them what to do, but by showing them how it looks to live in alignment. And that begins with where you place your attention and your energy now that your financial reality is shifting. The wealth you're receiving is a mission fund. A divine provision for the version of you who is ready to build not just for yourself, but for the world. Your first responsibility is to create internal and external peace. Build a safe and nourishing environment around you. That might mean leaving a chaotic space, investing in your well-being, or finally allowing yourself to rest without guilt. Because a leader who is burnt out can't hold space for others. You don't need to save the world in a day. You need to start by becoming a sanctuary for yourself first. When your nervous system is calm, your spirit becomes louder. When your life slows down, your purpose becomes clearer. Then comes the expansion. Once your foundation is secured, you'll feel a natural urge to move outward, to share, to create, to initiate. This is not performative giving. This is divine ripple making. You may find yourself drawn to healing work, education, environmental restoration, storytelling, or community building. The what doesn't matter as much as the why. Because the truth is, the world doesn't just need more wealthy people. It needs more awake people who know how to use wealth as a tool, not a mask. From an astrological perspective, this phase of your life mirrors the energy of Nehemiah, yes, the ancient builder, but also an archetype of restoration. Nehemiah didn't build alone. He inspired, protected, and organized his people to reconstruct what was sacred. That is the energy now flowing through you. And though your tools may be modern technology, platforms, networks, the soul behind them is ancient. You are not just funding dreams. You are restoring dignity, rebalancing energy, and proving that wealth and compassion are not opposites. To anchor this frequency, don't be afraid to become more selective with where your money flows. Ask yourself, does this support my mission? Does this investment nourish the light I'm carrying? Does this transaction bring me deeper into who I am or pull me away from it? These are the questions of a conscious steward. You are not here to hoard. You are here to circulatito, become a living ecosystem of generosity, sustainability, and spiritual leadership. And Scorpio, if something in you has always dreamed of making a difference, no matter how big or small, if you've carried the vision of building schools, starting sacred spaces, empowering youth, supporting healers, or creating systems that truly care for others, this is your confirmation. You weren't just daydreaming. You were receiving an assignment. Now, the resources are arriving to help you carry it out. So if you feel this truth stirring in you, speak it aloud. Write it down. Declare it in the comments, not for validation, but as an energetic signature. Say it with power, I am a light bearer. I am here to lead with love. I am building something that will outlast me. This is what your wealth is for. This is what your struggle has prepared you for. And this is why, right now, the universe is entrusting you with more. Because you've proven that you won't just spend what you're given. You'll multiply it into meaning. And that, Scorpio, is the kind of leadership the world needs now. And so, Scorpio, the final word has already been written, not by man, but by heaven itself. You don't need an apology. You don't need them to say they were wrong. Because the money that's coming, the spiritual compensation that's arriving, is the verdict. You have been proven right, not just in front of people, but in the records of eternity. The suffering you endured in silence. The betrayal you never exposed. The faith you held when everything around you collapsed, these are the reasons your life is about to shift in a way even you didn't dare to imagine. When the Bible says, "And the last shall be first," Matthew 19 verse 30, it was speaking about souls like yours. People who walked through fire while others watched and laughed. People who stayed silent when falsely accused. People who gave when they had nothing left but belief. That belief? It is now becoming wealth. That silence? It is now becoming thunder in the spiritual realm. And your obedience in pain? It has birthed a crown of light. You were never meant to blend in. You were chosen to rise. Not because you were perfect, but because you were obedient when it was hardest. Because you believed when your eyes saw nothing. Because you prayed for others while crying yourself to sleep. You didn't just survive, you were being prepared to become a leader, a lighthouse, a spiritual testimony. And now, Spirit is saying, the time of being hidden is over. The vault is open. Your name is being called. It's time to inherit what has always been stored for you. You don't have to win the argument. You've already won the soul battle. You don't need them to say, "I'm sorry." Let the breakthrough speak louder. Let the bank statement testify. Let your peace be louder than their pride. There is no need to announce your glow up. God will do it for you. And when He lifts you, no one can block it, delay it, or explain it. So if you feel this in your spirit, if something inside you just knows that this message was meant for you, don't just watch passively. Seal the frequency. Write your affirmation in the comments. Comment 777 to sign your energetic contract with the divine. Subscribe and join this family of believers and spiritual builders, people just like you who know they've been chosen for more. Hit the like button, not just to support the channel, but to energetically lock in what you've just received. And if you want this new wealth consciousness to rewire your subconscious even deeper, Play this video again tonight while you sleep. Let these words soak into your cells. Let them echo in your dreams. Scorpio, get ready to open the door. The verdict has been declared. Heaven has recorded your name in the ledger of abundance. And yes, you are the rightful heir to a spiritual fortune so vast, so sacred, that it could only be delivered through divine timing. You made it. You didn't fold. And now? Your harvest is not just near its knocking. Are you ready to answer? Let us walk together into this new season of divine wealth. Let's witness what happens when someone refuses to give you and the universe decides to pay them back with interest. Welcome home, chosen one. Miracle of the Sign invites you now to declare your alignment. Type 777. Claim it. Anchor it. Let heaven hear you. Your journey to overflow has just begun.